I'm Alison Laley, CEO of UBalancer Solutions. I'm a neuro coach with a specialist interest in emotional intelligence coaching. I'd like to talk to you today a little bit about performance conversations because they come up so often in coaching. Leaders and managers who have to have conversations with their direct reports around their performance. And there was a time where these were held once a year and people would, set some goals for themselves, but a year's a very long time between conversations. So what we now know is that it's much better for the manager or the leader to have these conversations very regularly and to have them in a way that they keep the other person in what we call the toward brain state. So all of our brains have some organizing principles. We're either in a situation where we are attracted or drawn towards something, or we're in a threat state where we withdraw from something. And the best outcomes happen when we can keep the people we're working with in a toward state. So we keep them in a state where they know what's coming. We've managed their expectations, where there's no threats to their status, where they feel that they're valued, that they matter, that they belong, where they have the sense of being a part of the tribe or being a part of the team. So there's kind of a collective safety around the team. And feedback can be given in a way that it's not threatening, but rather regarded as an opportunity to improve ourselves, an opportunity to find out what went well, what didn't go so well, and to be given access to the resources that we may need so we can do that task better the next time. We also need to be given the chance to be accountable and to be held accountable, but actually to be a bit autonomous. So we're shown the direction, we go off and do what we need to do, and along the way we can always access more support or resources if we need to. So there are particular skills we have as leaders or managers where we take people through a process, it's almost a formula, so we can keep them in this toward state during these performance conversations. I was speaking to an HR person only this week about this because she had had a performance conversation that hadn't gone particularly well. And it only takes one word for someone's brain to go into that withdrawal or that away state. And from that moment on, their prefrontal cortex or their clear kind of thinking brain shuts down. And they're really probably not even hearing what we say after that. So once we make a decision, we're going to have the conversation, the next important thing is to prime the person. Let them know certain time or date we're going to have a catch up and we're going to be talking about X, Y, and Z. So then we've managed their expectations and they understand that we're going to have the conversation. We then enter into that conversation with some general making connections. How have you been? How things been going for you, what's been happening, and it may even be, outside of work life, just to stay in touch and tune and connected with where that person's at. From that point, we need to be quite clear and transparent. This is where I'm at. You've been working on this project. I'd like to ask you some questions around how you feel it's been going. So lots of questioning rather than telling at this point. And inquiry and curiosity and finding out how has this been for the person. People actually know when they haven't done particularly well. We don't really have to tell them initially. And from that process, someone's able to explore with you how they felt. You then let them know how you felt about the project. So there's kind of this mutual co-exploration, if you like. There then is the opportunity for you to provide some resources, some ideas. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about connecting with that? Here's a resource you may find useful. What about you speak to that person? Is there anything else you need from me? What would great success in the situation actually look like for you? So you give the person a chance to do their own thinking, come up with some of their own solutions. This is the autonomy. And then in the end, you almost contract or co-create a new way forward so that person has a very clear idea of what your expectations are and what they can bring to the table to do better. And it's always important, and I should have said this earlier, to start with some positive affirmation. Notice some strengths, whatever that person has done well, no matter how small, start that way so their brain is in a toward state even before we go into the further part of the conversation. And then when we come towards the end and the clear set of goals going forward, and they must be really clear, really actionable, not too many. Brain likes about 3 or 4 things, but very specific, very clear. From that point, we then can say to the person, okay, check in with them, are they clear? And then the next step is, when should we touch base again? How much time do you need before we have another chat? And set a date in the calendar for when that next conversation is actually going to be held. And that whole process, it sounds perhaps long, but it can happen in 10-15 minutes. Really, really great conversations that happen regularly, and the person you will see them start to thrive and their performance will uplift. So I wish you all the best as you go into your next performance conversation, and I encourage you to listen to this prior to that, to think, what do I need to do to keep that person in a toward brain state, to keep them relaxed and calm so their thinking's clear, and what does this particular person going to need from me, because of course everybody is different and may have slightly different needs. So I wish you well with your next performance conversation, and if you have a chance, I'd love to hear from you how it goes. So you could send me an email, alison@youbalancer.com.au. It's been absolutely lovely talking to you today, and I hope that we get to connect soon. Thank you.